I'm Ash Pemberton, and this is CNX Podcast, the Chiang Mai community podcast where local businesses, brands, and interesting people get heard.
By developing really great questions, you let people know about the facts of life. There's kind of a Zen reality about the present moment for everyone, whether you're a politician, a salesman, whatever it happens to be. If you want to tickle another person, it's easy. You must authentically tickle yourself. So we can't read each other's minds, but we certainly can feel each other's feeling. The beauty without the beast has no meaning, and beast without beauty has no inspiration. Repressing the sound. All I did was sing for a guy who was renting an apartment that I wanted to rent anyway, who happened to be directing the show, and he put me in the cast to get the entire male ensemble up to Broadway quality. In the past, your success came because you had the ability to inspire yourself on demand. You would use your mind to think about thoughts that inspire, your eyes to seek out objects, shapes, colors, people that inspire.
Whoa, hello. I'm going to say an absolutely massive hello and introduction to our latest guest. It's Mr. Guy Monroe.
Wow, thank you so much.
I'm absolutely delighted to have you, Guy. We have had a few conversations in the past. We've worked together a little bit, and you were on my hit list. I know you as a voice coach, which I believe means that you are a singing coach. But there's more to you than just that. When I look at your website, when I go back through your history, you are a charisma coach. You're a confidence coach. You are a public performance coach. And I believe you know what makes A-list quality. You can tell an A-lister from a non-A-lister. So could you just tell me a little bit now, or tell the audience certainly, what is it that you do for the people of Chiang Mai when they knock on your door and say, "Hi, Guy, can you help me?"
My whole life, I've loved singing and singers and voice and speaking and stagecraft and performance, and also flip side, which is the dark side of the experience, which is stage fright. What is that? And all the dark things. So people would hear me for what I could do, and then I would say I could help. A whole range of people started showing up, everywhere from people who are almost magnificent to people who are professional entertainers and have been performing for a long time, and yet they never knew how they do what they do.
Okay.
You're really great at anything. Let's say you're a comedian. You've been successful for years on stage. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you don't know what caused it. You got stage fright.
Oh.
How could that happen? I was so good. I was so great. And then stage fright appeared. So they come to me and they will say, "What's going on? Do I need a shrink? Am I crazy?" And I'll say, "No, you're not. What's happened is you unconsciously have become a master at terrifying yourself." I'll give you an example. In the past, your success came because you had the ability to inspire yourself on demand. You would use your mind to think about thoughts that inspire, your eyes to seek out objects, shapes, colors, people that inspire. You'd use gesture and hand movement to inspire yourself. You'd use your face to inspire yourself. But you didn't actually know that's what you did. It just all happened automatically. And then one day, you're just in fear and you started worrying. And what happened was you flipped what inspired you. Instead of looking for that, you wanted to avoid what frightened you. So you started looking for that. And all social situations are high stakes situations, which means we have to feel our way through them. Bicycle is not a simple thing. It's very complex. You have to propel yourself. You have to balance yourself forward and back and center. Don't fall off. You have to propel yourself forward. Then how do you stop the damn thing? Very complicated. Like swimming, like so many things we take for granted, even walking. So all of a sudden you started looking for what frightens you, what terrifies you. And guess what happened? You found it because you're smart. So you were looking for troubles to avoid. You were on stage. Was it a life-threatening situation? No, but it was a high-stakes situation. That means you could be humiliated. Things could go wrong. You could lose your career over things that you say. So could it be perceived as potentially life-threatening? Yes, but not like a gun or a knife. a different kind. So your technique drifted, and all of a sudden you started looking for what frightens you instead of for what inspires you. And we have to operate so quickly in the present moment when we're alive in human interaction. We have to fire so quickly that you have to choose. You can't hesitate. Let me get back to you later. You have to choose right now. So we can't operate through a fear mechanism. We have to operate through a trust mechanism. And the only way that works is to be childlike and learn how to play. So I teach them how to play again while they have a gun to their head.
Excellent. Sure. And is that vast majority of people would come to you because they used to have a talent and they've got stage fright, or is it to develop from the start?
It's a full range. It's the bucket list. I was the kid in choir, they may say, who the choir director said, just stand in the back, smile, and move your mouth. Don't sing. Because you've either got it or you don't. And this breaks people's hearts, this lie that it is a mystery, a grand X factor. We don't know what it is. As a matter of fact, the greatest singers in the world, the professional singers who have been trained, and their trainers know exactly what those qualities and characteristics are, what needs to be present in order for you to give people goosebumps. If they're not present, no goosebumps.
So you said age 12, you actually were told not to sing. You couldn't sing.
Actually, my example was of someone who came into my studio who said I couldn't sing.
Okay.
I have always had it. I was in kindergarten at the age of 5, and this was back in a time when there was actually piano in the classroom.
Sure.
The teacher ran the kids through the scales, and they had them mimic the piano, which is what we do when we attempt to sing notes. And I was great at it at 5 years old. And I've met children who are like that. But that being said, it's like golf. Every singer, every actor, every comedian, every person that has this may come in with a strong suit or a heavy leaning in a particular gifted angle. Other than the prodigies, we see those videos of babies who climb on the piano and just start playing the most amazing concertos, right? Mm-hmm. That's beyond rare. That's magic. But I'm talking about most people. So we'll come in with a proclivity towards or a strong skill of something. But no matter how great the people are, like the golfer who has a hole in their swing, or the baseball bat, a hole in their swing. There's something that's not right, like the singers who will sing great in a variety of notes, but then there are notes that are flat and so on. In my case, I was very fortunate, and it came to me very easy, and it probably would have been better if it came to me a little harder, because I would have worked a little harder. When I was in high school, I got a free vocal coach who just wanted to show me off. I had a natural ability. I was one of the best singers in my school, and I didn't know how I did what I did. So he was a voice coach, and he started teaching me how I do what I do. And so we went from turning something from luck, which was good most of the time and often, into a skill, which was perfect all the time. So when I say a skill, that means whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. A person who has that ability is a master technician, and they can do it just like anyone else could do soldering or plumbing or something else.
So when you were a young singer and you knew you had talent and you had your first vocal coach, where were you singing? Where did that take you?
So what happened was it had always been very easy for me. And then he just pretty much guaranteed my ability. So when I was nervous, that's the thing that people don't realize. When you hear a singer sing well, they have to do it under a variety of emotional states. It's one thing to be in your shower and sing beautifully, but it's another thing to then get in front of a couple of friends and sing beautifully. And what happens when you get nervous and your voice falls apart? Or to audition for a musical, or to audition for a television show, or where the stakes are high from the embarrassment standpoint. And so what comes into play, like anything else, you rehearse enough at something that you can do it blindfolded and backwards. Even if you're an emotional basket case, you can do it well. Very quickly in high school, I got all the trophies. I was the drama jock and the singing jock. I got all the trophies. And then I went on to the little community college, which happened to be in a place called Palm Springs, California, which at the time, this is the late 70s, is Beverly Hills #2. So all the celebrities that lived in Pacific Palisades and Beverly Hills, the stars, they all had a home in Palm Springs. So there was no convention center or big theatrical venue. There was the Palm Springs High School. So if a celebrity wanted to perform, they performed at the Palm Springs High School amongst their celebrity friends.
Okay.
So it was like a small town, but for the rich and famous. So I got this opportunity to work with television stars and movie stars. And we did this thing where, let's say, a musical, they were going to do Man of La Mancha. And they cast, at the time, a very famous television actor, the star, to star in it. And my voice was so good, I could pick what is the greatest song in, let's say, Fiddler on the Roof, or what is the greatest song. We were going to do two shows. One was Fiddler on the Roof, and the other was Man of La Mancha. And so I got to pick the greatest song in Man of La Mancha, and I auditioned, and nobody could compete with me. No one could touch me. It was Broadway level singing coming out of an 18-year-old kid.
Wow.
Mature male sound out of an 18-year-old kid. And the same thing for Fiddler on the Roof. That's a blessing and both a curse because it can make you arrogant when you're a kid and lazy. If I could go back in time and talk to him, I would have said to him, find a coach who will teach you to find out what's next beyond the ability to do something masterfully. It's the meaning, it's the why. Think about it. A lot of people dream of singing very well. Imagine you could sing as well as your greatest singing hero. Now imagine you could do that, but how quickly would it bore you because it's so easy to do? I'm telling you it would be very fast. And this is why many of their lives are destroyed and they turn to self-medication because they're master technicians without a why. So I learned that I had to find out how to inspire, motivate, and propel myself and to teach others to find meaning and the value in the moment to turn it into some really high art for yourself. Because the more meaning it has for you, the more meaning it has for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Guy, what's like the pinnacle of your career, other than this podcast?
Pinnacle of my career was performing Sweeney Todd at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and receiving a bronze medal in a championship for the nationwide championship for the finest of musical theater shows that were put on in like a beauty pageant of musical theater shows. And this happens every year in the United States, where all the universities compete, all of them, nationwide, for their shows to be selected. One of the, I believe it's 5 or 7 shows that perform one performance at the Kennedy Center with sets and everything.
Okay.
At the Kennedy Center. And to be honored with a bronze Kennedy Center medallion for winning a national championship.
Okay, bronze was because you were the outright winner, not bronze for third.
Though there was no third. It would have been gold, but they didn't give gold medals. They were just beautiful bronze medals.
So you were the outright winner?
Yeah.
And how old were you then?
I was 24, 25.
And where did people expect you to go from there?
So they expected me to go to the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
And to believe it or not, I didn't even attend the university. I literally was brought in at the age of 24 as a stranger. I moved to Hollywood to begin auditioning for television starting a film career. I moved to Hollywood to begin that. And that process is you audition for television series, commercials, anything that pays money. So the apartment that I found that was for rent off Fountain and Las Palmas, which is a couple miles from Paramount Studio, was this little apartment, and there was a piano in the living room. And the guy wanted to sublet it. And I found out the guy was the musical director for Cal State LA. And we just got into conversation. And he was doing Sweeney Todd. And I said, oh my God, that's one of my favorite shows in the whole wide world. He said, really? He said, would you be interested in being in Sweeney Todd? And I said it was my favorite show in the whole wide world. And then he just started playing some of the songs from Sweeney Todd. And I impromptu sung him one of the songs from Sweeney Todd. And he said, my God, here's the problem. We have a very weak male cast at the university. The females are strong, but the males are weak. I need a strong male baritone to lead them in the Broadway musical intensity style. I need big fire. I need massive intensity. I need massive overtones and undertones. And would you do that? So you want me to be in the cast of Sweeney Todd at the university that's near here? He said, yes. And that's how I got into that show. That's pretty lazy and pretty easy. All I did was sing for a guy who was renting an apartment that I wanted to rent anyway, who happened to be directing the show. And he put me in the cast to get the entire male ensemble up to Broadway quality, to lead by example, because people on stage are egomaniacs. So if I go in with a big, courageous voice, they're going to bring everything else that they can at this level. And it worked. We won the National Theater competition, and they flew me out, and they paid for everything, and
awesome.
I didn't even have to go to university.
So you're an accomplished winner, really, certainly in your 20s as well. Mm-hmm. And then where did that lead to further on in your career? Who have you worked with? Who could you drop a few names so that we go, wow, this is real Hollywood?
So here's the amazing part. Right after that, I started auditioning heavily for commercial work. And that's what they call it, where you're trying to get a TV show, you're trying to get anything, you can get anything. Just get an agent and just go to audition for stuff. And I went to audition, and for the first time in my life, I had stage fright. What is this? This never happened before. I'm the gunslinger. I'm the guy they bring in. What is this? Then I went to another audition, stage fright. It was worse. Another audition, worse. After 7 auditions, I figured I need a shrink or something because I was ignorant. I told you the danger of getting too much too fast is you think you know what you're doing. But I didn't, because I didn't know how I inspired myself at the audition process.
Yeah.
And what I did was, when it became about money instead of fun, I was terrorizing myself in front of the camera by seeking out the wrong, the bad, and incorrect. I was trying to avoid the fear. So I was looking for scary things, which only did what? Frightened me more.
Sure.
But we don't know how we do that. I quit my career. I walked away from all of that. And then I completely walked away from the entertainment field completely. And then a number of years later, I was miserable. And my wife said, "You need to sing, Guy." And she was right.
Yeah.
And so then I became a voice coach. And then I was able to help people who came to me all of a sudden. I thought I was just teaching voice, but it's package, you see. It's the emotional aspect too. It's how do we inspire ourselves? How do we turn ourselves on in this moment while I'm singing this song? Why should I invest more in this moment? How do I train myself to be a generous person when I sing? When we're raised in a society that's very conservative, and pull back and be smaller and give less. Because what happens to the tall poppy? What happens to the tall blade of grass? It gets cut down. Mm-hmm. So it takes a lot of skill to train yourself, to give yourself permission to be a very generous human being. So fast forward to where we are today, I have the weirdest students in the world. Another student had to face a jury trial, and I had to train him how to make the jury fall in love with him.
Yeah.
And I have another student who makes $20,000 a month on Instagram who wants to understand how he does that.
So this is the confidence, charisma side of your work. And same model applies. They were successful, but they just didn't know what they were doing.
That's right.
So how do you find out what they're doing? You can see it.
Yeah. So by developing really great questions, you let people know about the facts of life. There's kind of a Zen reality about the present moment for everyone, whether you're a politician, a salesman, whatever it happens to be. How to occupy the present moment is how to inspire yourself. Like I could come to you and I could go, "Oh, I hope Ash likes this. I hope I inspire him. I hope he likes it." But what I'm not realizing in that moment, that's very great to have that compassion and that desire to make other people happy. But the realization is how we actually manipulate audiences, which was bizarre to find out through experimentation, is to inspire Ash is to inspire myself. Mm-hmm. And to the degree that I can inspire myself is to the degree I just inspired Ash. The truth of it, it's my digging within myself or manipulating myself in order to go deeper into the story. Kind of works this way. If you want to tickle another person, it's easy. You must authentically tickle yourself. If you want to make another person cry, it's easy. You have to authentically make yourself cry. And if you want to make another person laugh, don't waste your time trying to go after that other person. You actually find out how to tickle yourself to the point of laughter, and they will laugh out of empathy. So we can't read each other's minds, but we certainly can feel each other's feelings. And that's what we must become masters of, ultimately.
Wow. I remember when you've said this to me before, it's actually too much for my brain to really compute and understand and apply. when you were coaching me and telling me, this is what you must do, this is how you'll join your vows, it actually confused me more.
Yes, because there's so much. Sometimes, and this is what coaches have to watch out for, they're like, have another steak. Oh, I'm so full. Just that one steak you gave me was so great. No, but there's more. And there's more. We had this limited time together. And so I have to learn balance also, as everyone does, in how much should I share? What's a digestible amount? So let's simplify everything. We are looking at something that's multifaceted and multi-layered, right? So let's start at the very beginning. And the very beginning is, first, when you approach it, you have to feel safe. So the thing is when did we do it and how did we do it when we first made ourselves feel safe? How did we do that? When we were children, when you or I were, let's say, 3 years old, playing in a sandbox, we knew how to be masters of self-inspiration. You were interested in nothing but pulling yourself into the moments more. You weren't concerned that people were staring at you or that your mom and your aunts and her friends, oh, isn't he adorable? Look how adorable he is. He should be more adorable at this moment because we're all watching him. You weren't concerned with any of that. You were just being you. And this is how children operate. This is how kittens operate. That's why we love kittens, because they're just pulling themselves into the moment fully. The first thing, step one, is to feel safe. We need a context. You and I are doing a podcast, or if we were on stage, whatever it happens to be, we have to find out what the perimeters are. Like, how bad could it really get? How bad could we fall on our face? Like, is someone going to shoot us? Is someone going to stab us? Is this life-threatening? How do we get into a space where we're facing stage fright, right? So how we do that is, what we learn is what our job is. And your job is to invest more and invest more. To know how to do that, you have to know what you can do so that you can get greater investment numbers in your moment. And when you exceed, they go from a scale of 1 to 10. And when you get them to a certain height of investment, the whole world goes away. And all that's left is where your attention is at, which is fueling you now. And that's where professional entertainers, comedians, singers, this is the skill that they have to develop. They know that there's this scale of 1 to 10 of investment, and they have to operate in a way where they're so nourished and they're so fulfilled, and their head is just spinning with ideas that there is no outside concern. There is no, what if they like us? What about the money? How do I hang on to my job? All that goes out the window. And all there is you and me and this moment, and we're inventing something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Guy, let's talk about the A-list quality.
Wow.
Something that you help people achieve, you help people understand. How do we define what the A-list quality is, and how easy is it for you to see if people have it or have potential?
What is our experience? So if you're in the States, you went to high school, maybe you went to college, and what you discovered was that what was demanded of you. So for singing example, what was required was to be on pitch and to sustain long notes. That was it. So we thought that's what all that singing was. But in actuality, singing and acting and emotion is all based upon us mimicking real life passion. Mimicking it. But to do that, we have to understand on a muscular level what that is. What muscles do we use when we're actually emotionally affected? And if you do that, then what you understand is if I use those muscles while I'm singing, a second element comes up, not just beauty. There are two primary elements, beauty and the beast. Mm-hmm. Beauty is defined as musical pitch. But to get to musical pitch, we have to realize we are not a guitar or a saxophone or a trumpet. And the reason that's important is because a piano, a saxophone, a trumpet don't use words. But when we sing and do words at the same time. So to be able to sing well, you have to understand that vowels are the vehicle of sound. So to keep it simple, not going too far, there are two primary elements, vowels and consonants. Every word has one or the other. The consonant will destroy you and make you unbeautiful. And the vowel will make you stunningly beautiful.
Okay.
So the greatest singers in the world, what they learn to do is they glue their words together And they swing like a monkey from vowel to vowel. So they are continuously melodious, nonstop, from beginning to end. And that's as beautiful as you can possibly be. Vowel to vowel to vowel. Vowel means voce. It means voice. And that means any noise you make that causes your vocal cords to vibrate. That's voce. The other sounds don't cause your vocal cords to vibrate. Those are called consonants. And consonants are vocal condiments, salt and pepper. However, what's weird is I have to sing the word last. Starts with an L.
Yeah.
You can't sing an L. It's a strangulation sound. In the word last, thank heavens, there's one sound and only one sound that's a vowel sound that will cause your vocals to vibrate. And that's the A in the word.
Yeah.
So a great singer knows that they have to sing the A only.
How? Oh, how do you mean?
So the thing that makes it weird, in English, we are taught everything has equal weight and merit. A consonant has equal weight and merit to a vowel. This is an absolute lie because you can't sing an L. You can't sing an S. An L is this, oh, and a T is a pop. But the A is ah. But it is not the first element. So what great singers do is you have two words. Wow, I'm breaking down the greatness of every song with just two words. The first word is at, and the second one is last.
Yeah.
So at is easy. On the downbeat, we can start with the A, meaning the downbeat is when the stick to the drum hits. Now, when the piano key is pushed in, when the trumpet sound begins. Now. So I can actually voice the first letter of the first word. But what do I do to sing at last? I have to glue those words together. And I make a big deal out of the A and a big deal out of the A. And now I will be perfectly melodious with those two words without making a big deal out of the consonants, because I'm going to downplay the consonants and upplay the vowels. And I get at last, So I have to know that. So that's beauty. And that's all it can ever be. But it's not much. I also throw in a decorative element called a vibrato. Not required. That is the wavering between being A pitch and being off pitch, a half step, and back on pitch. Decorative element, not important. But beauty is a to a, any vowel sound, a, or phonetic, oi, ow, any phonetic, because it's a musical pitch, because it vibrates at the neck. Okay, if I just follow the standard of vowels only, I'll never be a great singer, because it lacks soul. And soul rhymes with sinus. And believe it or not, you sing into your nose.
Yeah.
Because when we're upset, where do we drive all of our sound? I'm not expecting you to know, because only maniacs who are singers, it's so important to them that they know this, is that when you're upset, everything goes into the sinus. Mm-hmm. Everything is muscle origin, and it's into the sinus. And so when we're upset, it sounds ugly. That's why it's called the beast. The beauty without the beast has no meaning. And beast without beauty has no inspiration. But if you bring them both together, and you could do it throughout an entire song, that's the A-list sound. Beauty and the beast all the time. So if you think of any of your greatest singers, and they would be considered singers, great voices. I was just watching an old movie with Barbara Streisand called Yentl, and a genius vocalist off the charts, better than anyone who's singing today. But it just happens that way. Not because I say so, but because we judge them by their beauty in the beast. Is the passion and caring always there? And if the passion and caring is always there, that also rides on a scale of 1 to 10. Is it only a little bit there? Or is it a lot there? So this is another factor. So we have, wow, caring and passion, that's the beast. It's the I'm upset. It's the I'm overwhelmed while you're being beautiful. Sound, which is the sound of beauty. We were talking about Johnny Cash at one point.
Uh-huh.
So for example, if I direct the sound out of my mouth towards my lower teeth, which is what most people do, they wastefully send their sound into the room instead of sending it into the amplification system of their skull. You don't get overtones and undertones. And so that might sound like, I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. Okay, I get points. It had falter and flaw, which is humanity. That's good. It wasn't perfect English. We want that because that's a sound human. It was breathy, and everything was on pitch the whole time. It sounded airy. Didn't sound very generous.
No.
Didn't sound very, what else can I give? What else can I give? What else can I give?
Yeah, on your scale, it was a low.
Wow, a 3.
Okay.
But if Johnny Cash, what he was trained to do was to direct his sound into his skull, and then the microphone's going to pick up the skull because he's not yelling into the room. And you would hear him in his songs humming. Then you sound like 5 people singing, if you can do that. Imagine one person sounding like 5 people. That's the A-list singer.
Right.
And that would sound like this. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. I hurt myself today.
Sure.
I hurt myself today. Congestion.
Yeah, way
Trapping.
more nasal.
Sound getting caught.
Uh-huh.
So if any of you out there listening to this wonderful podcast were ever taught by your voice teachers or your choir directors, you sound too nasal. They don't understand how we use nasality and how required it is to create a magnificent sound. That's the beast, your passion, your I care. So all your great singers, they're spinning that plate while they're spinning beauty at the same time. That makes sense.
It does, yeah. Could we just do a little exercise like that? Because
Sure.
I remember you did one with me before and you encouraged me to be overly nasal, overly vibrating, and to be the beast and to make it ugly, because that was my foundation. That was my starting point. So could you just make a sound, or maybe just give a little demonstration to the people at home so they could actually try that for themselves and see what sort of ugly sound comes from them?
Let's say in real life, you're highly emotional and you're on the verge of tears. And what is your mindset about that? Well, your mindset most probably is you'd like to hide it. You want to repress it. You want to stuff it down. It's embarrassing. You're looking weak. You're unbalanced and you want to hide it. So that sound of the beast is a repressed sound. The sound wants to come out, but I'm not letting it out. I'm getting it trapped inside. And that's where the opera sound comes from. The big musical theater sound comes from. It's a trapped sound, not a released or letting go sound. It's almost like you have something so huge that you're trying not to offend others with it. It's so big. It's kind of a repression. So instead of directing the sound out of your mouth, you find out what it feels like to create overtones and undertones. And that is sound that has a muscle origin in your solar plexus. So we grab the air, called grab it. We get the air in the body. We keep the air in the body, in the lungs. And then what we do is we put it under pressure by keeping our chest raised and not letting the air out. We're conserving it. We're really keeping it in the body. And then we start off with an M. And an M is wonderful because the lips are sealed. And the only way the sound can get out or air can get out is through your nostrils. So it has to go through the sinus system for air to escape. But your objective is not to make air escape. Your objective is to create a rattle in your face, to cause a buzzing sensation like buzzing bees or trapped hornets in your head. This is vibration. This is overtones and undertones. This is amplification. So the great singers and the great speakers, what they learned was, if I can vibrate while I'm speaking or while I'm singing, my voice will carry magnificently. So to vibrate and speak or sing. Ma, 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 Ave Maria, Gratia plena Dominus tecum et benedicta tu in mulieribus et repressing the sound, trapping it in the sinuses to create overtones and undertones. So it's also referred to as the sacred sound. That's why when you hear Tibetan monks, so what are you hearing? You're hearing pitch, which is quiet, which is beauty, coming from my vocal cords. And I'm making my skull vibrate. My teeth are chattering and my lips are interesting. So here's an exercise for all of you. Let's say you want to sing a song like Twinkle Little Star. And you would just normally go, Twinkle Little Star, right? But what I want you to do is remember your melody, have it in mind, and hum it. Not on an H, because an H is a pump, but an M, which is a consistent pressurization. An H is, it's bursting of little bursts of air. We want the M because it starts in the mouth, circulates in the mouth, and then goes through the upper palate and ricochets into the amplification system of the hollow drainage spaces of the sinuses, maxillary sinuses, turbinates all through the bony, reflective areas of the skull. This is beauty. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. This is the beast. Etc. The first line, twinkle, twinkle, little star, is actually full inhale, hold your breath, conserve your air, don't let it out, don't let it release. I'll go first, then I'm going to have you do it, okay? Your turn. You try.
Apologies, listeners. I'm going to give it a go.
Good. Now, did you feel the vibration?
I felt it in my teeth.
Now I want you to maximize it.
Yeah.
We're going to create a secondary resonator in your mouth. I want you to create a hollow space in your mouth by taking your tongue. Don't allow it to touch the roof of your mouth, but rather put an imaginary little ping pong ball between your tongue and the roof of your mouth. It's like an ooh shape. Ooh. Make that sound. Ooh.
Ooh.
Feel where your tongue is laying. Ooh. Now, if you keep everything the same and you don't change anything, not a thing, except you seal your lips, it becomes this. Ooh. Try it.
Ooh.
And seal your lips. Now it's buzzing even more, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because you created a hollow cavity in your mouth as a secondary resonating chamber to the organic one you have in your sinuses. So we hear our great singers. Why is this important? Because what they've learned to master, it's not their voice. It's the sacred sound of the beast. I call it the beast because it sounds ugly. But it's also the sacred sound of overtones and undertones, which means it's sacred, like the chanting monk. Om. Now move that sound around, up and down and backwards and forwards and up and forward in your face and back, and find the most buzziest place where that sound comes to life most, that pitch. Now, conserve your air. So the thing that makes us create sound is air under pressure, not air lost. So if you just take an inhalation like this, it's gone. But if you really meter it out, it could last a long time. How much is required just to create that buzz? See how long you can last. So buzziness to buzziness. And slide to your pitches. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to keep my mouth pretty closed and I'm going to go, twinkle, twinkle. And that's what that looks like. So can you hear my overtones and undertones while I'm singing?
Yeah.
Two different parts are happening. Little star. So I'm buzzing and singing at the same time. So that's the requirement of all your great singers. If you listen to them, they'll all be buzzing and singing.
Sure. Fantastic. You've given us a really nice little practical demo. I'm going to apologize to all the listeners who actually had to hear my version of what Guy was taking me through.
It was great.
But that is the exercise, which I'm sure you could do at home, or if you're driving your car, just create that vibration, trap that air and release it and see what sort of beast you've got within, because that is Guy's philosophy with how to become a really good singer, how to create a really deep and engaging sound that has that A-list quality. So thank you very much, Guy. Let's call it a day for that bit, and then let's dive into the next bit. I've got an artist that I always considered to be really powerful, really good singer. And I brought an example of him to you, and you were like, I don't see it, Ash. And then you pointed out what he wasn't doing and what he could do more of. So I just wonder if we could just quickly listen to a couple of examples. One I'm going to play, and then maybe you can suggest who you think is an absolutely brilliant example. And we just pinpoint what it is that they're doing that's so good. Because I think a lot of people will just not hear it and just miss it. So my one, if you don't mind me starting, was the Rag and Bone Man. And he does a song, which I absolutely love, called Human. So we're just going to play just the first intro to this.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it there because this is the song. I always said that I thought he had a really powerful voice. I find it a powerful song. But as soon as you heard it, you were just like, are you sure?
So what is not subjective? What is actually provable from what we can hear? Auditorily, everything's from a scale of 1 to 10. Take my ego out of the picture. It's 1 to 10. So I listen for his resonance.
Mm-hmm.
I know what he's shooting for. The Central Texas blues sound of the 30s, or Chicago, the blues sound. Then we could go back to the great singers of the 30s. What we would listen to is maximum overdrive in overtones and undertones, but on a scale of 1 to 10. So to sound massively, powerfully passionate, we use that M exercise I talked about earlier. As a singer, I must create as many overtones and undertones as humanly possible to create passion. So the resonance is going to happen on the vowels, and you have to maximize it. For example, a rich, ethnically black sound is what this guy is shooting for, which would sound like this. The sacred, solid, sacred chant sound. Can you hear how much buzzing I'm doing? This young man, he's singing, maybe I'm foolish, big, spacious, but what's missing? Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind. Heavy-handed on his resonance. His resonance is very thin compared to what it could be because of what he's capable of. I can hear it in his voice. He's giving you, in that recording, a scale of 1 to 10, he's giving you a 4. He should be shooting 8s all the time. But this can happen when we may not know how we do what we do. Sometimes maybe he's very rich and resonant, and sometimes when he's doing it, he's not rich and resonant. An on-demand skill of a level of intensity. We call it hot sauce. So, no hot sauce. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Amazing grace, how sweet. So it's not that he doesn't have what it takes. It was just in training. I would just say, what else can you give more? So I just listen for a man who's not giving 100% of what he's capable of. That's the only way he's losing marks. But what a beautiful voice. But could it sound more passionate? Yes. And I will bet if you compare his live performances, you will find some of his intensity is more passionate on certain nights, and it's far less passionate on others. When it could be an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 every night, when we're very clear about creating that.
Can you tell me the name of an artist or a track that you know kicks off and goes straight into that sort of depth and passion? Who's an artist who always gives us that, in your opinion?
You could pull up any Barbara Streisand song. Her style is so diverse. Overtones and undertones, perfection and musicality. And then she goes into very high pitches that are equally full without yelling. And it's very manipulative from an emotional standpoint because it feels like we're going from emotional moment to emotional moment. I'm not talking about yelling for the sake of yelling, just being loud. We can all yell, but to sing in a way that is resonant and the timing is perfect with the musical notes. They're happening as if you were a trumpet. They're not delayed because of a consonant got in the way.
I see.
If you're late, early, or on the beat, it's because you're choosing to do so. That's what greatness is.
Yeah.
The point is, what moves us and stirs us? Am I being emotionally pulled and pushed? Play Fall in Love. So when we think of an artistic expression, we talk in terms of generosity of spirit. How much do I have to give? How much can I give? Can I give you more? So when we listen to voices, you ask yourself how it moves you. In what ways does it move you? Because it could be fun. It could be a million different things. However, think of singing like acting. If you could only do comedy or only do light comedy, wouldn't you want to be able to do drama as well? Wouldn't you like to do great passion and great pathos as well? So when we talk about singers, we listen to their style. What is their range? Is there great pathos and pain in it, or not so much? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for it. But if we as individuals want to be able to do I'd like to do that, or I'd like to do this other thing, it's like an expressive stretch, grander, bigger in the emotional range. And so this is where I help people go. It's like, I want that big voice guy. I never could do Tom Jones. How do I do that? Mm-hmm. Or I like to sound like so-and-so. How do I do that? And what is my version of that going to sound like?
That's very good, especially with the example with Tom, because that really kicked in for me. I could hear it. I could feel what you were trying to demonstrate there. So thank you, Guy. For people in Chiang Mai, if they have, a bit like me, a bucket list, and they've always wanted to be able to have the balls to stand up on stage and sing a song, even if it's just one song once, where will they find you? What is your social media and what should people search to find you?
Sure. So if you type in Guy Monroe voice, I'll pop up all over the place.
Yeah.
But to find me directly, just go to Guy Monroe, one word, GUYMONROE.com.
Sweet. So that is your own personal website. I know that you're quite active on social media too, and that you've been in Chiang Mai how long?
5 heavenly years.
5 heavenly years. And we're doing this completely the wrong way around. But what brought you to Chiang Mai and what's kept you?
Wow. So I'm going to share a secret. I've always had a dream to create music for the rest of my life. This is why I came here to Chiang Mai. So I'm very, very excited that all of that is coming.
Excellent. Sure. And you're doing that from your home studio in Chiang Mai?
Yeah.
Excellent. That is wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Guy Monroe. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've gone way over the hour mark, and I knew that we would. I really appreciate you coming in and doing this with me.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wonderful.
I love this. I love everything voice. I love everything headphones and microphone. Heaven on earth. So thank you for your generosity in inviting me and this opportunity to spend this wonderful time with you. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Guy. And thank you everyone else for listening. And yeah.
That was CNX Podcast.